Miigwech. Wachimiswe. Before I start, I wanted to acknowledge that we've had a lot of shifts in our AFN executive, and I want to acknowledge all of the regional chiefs who are doing hard work across Turtle Island for each of your regions. You'll see some new faces up here. We do have acting regional chiefs in PEI, and they're both sitting up here, Chief Darlene Bernard and Chief Roderick Gould. And we also have the new acting regional chief from Newfoundland. Brendan Mitchell is up here as well. So it's first meeting where he gets to be with us at the head table, so welcome. I also wanted to acknowledge that Alberta region doesn't have a formal regional chief, but we've had participation, and I wanted to acknowledge Chief Leonard Standing on the Road. Is he in the room? Is Chief Standing on the Road in the room here? I wanted to acknowledge he did attend our executive meeting, and Treaty 6 has been attending, as well as Treaty 7 with Chief Roy Whitney. So we're hoping that we have an Alberta regional chief or that situation sorted, but I do want to acknowledge the hard work of everyone up here at the head table. So Monish Kokoyaskash Katangi Chinoyan, Sagoch Magan the Kiskano Master Kichinita Yinimoyan. So Wachimiswe, Okamakanik, Shishuk, Gishehawk, Squawak, Neshta Oshkaniwak, RoseAnne Archibald, Natishagasan, Daukotagamo, Shnakatakochian. Good afternoon, everyone. First, I always want to acknowledge the Creator, the world around us, and our place within it. And I want to certainly want to acknowledge the families, relatives, and ancestors of the Anishinaabe, Algonquin nations for welcoming us to their traditional unceded, unsurrendered territories. And I also want to acknowledge that we have a number of chiefs and delegates online on Zoom, and I want to acknowledge their presence as well and the territories that they're on. So, you know, today is a unique meeting, and we're here to gather to talk about the UND National Action Plan. But I do want to also just say miigwech to Chief Greg Sarrazin, the host nation, Pikwakanagan, for welcoming us. I want to acknowledge Ontario Regional Chief Hare as well for hosting the gathering. And I also wanted to say that before this meeting started, there was a pipe ceremony early this morning. And so acknowledging Elder Wayne McKenzie, as well as Kevin Chief, who did the sunrise ceremony and raised 3 pipes for us this morning. Miigwech to Jane Chartrand, who came up and opened up this meeting in a good way. Thank you to the Spirit Wolf Drum for your songs. I do want to acknowledge that we have many sacred items in this room as well. And those items deserve an acknowledgement and for us to hold them close to our hearts as we do this work. Thank you to Weena and Adam for joining us again. We have planned a very productive meeting, and I know that Weena and Adam are going to get us through that in a good way. And so welcome, everyone. Welcome to the 2023 AFN Special Assembly. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the purpose of the meeting. It's really to ensure that First Nations are participating in the co-development of the UN Declaration National Action Plan. And as you all know, an important part of the UNDA is free, prior, and informed consent. And consent is key. Consultation is not enough. We need true co-development. Governments alone, colonial governments, they cannot decide on the future of our lands and waters. These decisions and policies must come from the rights holders, you, leadership, the grassroots people in communities on the front lines. One of my all-time favorite quotes is, "All the forces in the world are not powerful enough to stop an idea whose time has come." And our time has come. Change has arrived. This transformation has been embraced by many. It's been resisted by a few. Nevertheless, we must all come together. We must focus for the people to fulfill our highest purpose as leaders. As you know, I visit communities across Turtle Island every month, and I carry those stories that the people tell me and relay to me. I carry their joys, their sorrows, their grief. I carry those in my heart. And I keep them at the forefront of my mind. The voices at the community level are what drive my advocacy and what fuels my passion at the national level. As you know, one of the things that I ran on when I was seeking election was to renew the AFN as an organization. And in the past, we've all heard this, that the AFN has been criticized of being out of touch and in need of an overhaul. And that feedback needs to concern all of us, and it has to drive us toward that evolutionary change and that positive change that's needed at this level. And I'm confident that the changes that I have been promoting as National Chief will only accelerate your work for your communities. We're all sovereign nations with inherent rights given to us by the Creator. And as First Nations, we share the same intentions for our next generations. And that's why we're all here today. Although our teachings and languages differ, and I've been to many of the different nations across Turtle Island, I respect and honor each nation in their traditions, in their natural laws, and I honor these ways of being, and I honor these ways of knowing as sacred. So while each nation is unique, we're also united and indivisible. We are international, and we have to believe in that international vision. It includes the basic human rights to clean drinking water, the right to adequate housing, and that our women and girls deserve to be safe and protected always. And that's what the UND is about, the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. It's about our human rights. And our responsibility as leaders, our obligation, is to ensure that our communities are self-sustaining and that our treaty and inherent rights are fully recognized and implemented and protected. And as a matriarch, I also feel that profound grief and burden that we carry as women in this society. And I want women and girls who are watching, I want your wives, your daughters, your sisters, your aunties, your grandmas, your kukums, I want women and girls to know that they have a place here. They belong in leadership. And they are not alone. As we reaffirm together in our communities the path forward. And with our brothers, I have many brothers who I love, with our brothers by our side, we're going to continue to build a society where we are all acknowledged and treated with dignity and respect. With women in leadership, our resurgence is well on its way. And I also want you to know that the youth are watching. You know, we have co-chairs, and one of them texts me regularly, Haley, and they're watching us. And they know that you as leaders, we as leaders, are determining that healing path forward for them. And another thing I hear whenever I visit you in your communities, chiefs, I know that you and I are both experiencing lateral violence in our work because of this colonial system that we're in. And it's time for us to lead by example and lift each other up so that we can model that 7 sacred teachings. And that must include lateral kindness. We have to move away from conflict and disconnection to peace, connection, harmony in our working relationships. I've also heard the comments that AFN is distracted. You know, the media wants you to believe that we're distracted, but you know as well as I do that that's just not true. It's not the case. We're not distracted. Every day we show up and we do good work for the people, and we don't let anything slow us down. We have kept moving over and under and around obstacles, like the precious Nibi water that we hold so sacred. And we are relentless in our pursuit of equity and equality. Some of the most important work that we will do together is to address overt, covert, and systemic racism for the First Nations people who are waiting in hospitals for proper treatment, sitting in prisons, ensnared in the child welfare system. To fulfill our highest purpose is to shift from poverty to prosperity, from intergenerational trauma to intergenerational strength and healing, from inner turmoil to peace beyond all understanding. As National Chief, I'm elevating these conversations at the international level through frequent meetings with Her Excellency Governor General Mary Simon, who's facilitating an opportunity for Indigenous leaders to meet with King Charles before his coronation in May, to reset that relationship with the Crown. I've had the opportunity to connect with U.S. President Joe Biden, once at the Queen's funeral, very briefly, and also at his recent visit here. I took the opportunity to talk to him in a few minutes that I had about the issues that are common across the medicine line, the Jade Treaty, our ability to cross that border freely, and MMIWG. I take that same message of MMIWG to the United Nations. I brought that message to the UN Special Rapporteur when he was here. These meetings are essential to put pressure on Canada to live up to its friendly reputation. And as we hold Canada accountable for their ongoing genocide, not the past, ongoing, our next steps are to ensure that our family's first approach to MMIWG is supported and actioned at that international level. And I look forward to returning to the UN this month for the permanent forum, and that the AFN will be represented globally as an NGO. The first time I went to the UN, I went under the Canadian banner, but this time we're going as an Indigenous organization. What's undeniable is that we have shattered the myth of Canada as a beacon for human rights. In fact, Amnesty International, their annual report recently called the state of Indigenous peoples' rights in Canada a national disgrace. After decades of shouting this, the world has finally heard our protest. Even the Catholic Church, exactly 1 year since our delegation traveled to Rome, has repudiated the doctrine of discovery. There's more to do. The truth has been set free. And now our allies also feel empowered to say the truth, and say it loudly, and sing it loudly, too. And so that's what the next part of my speech is about. My moment on stage, I should say, not my speech. We're so honored to have Julie Black here in the room with us today. It was Chief Chris Plain from Amjwaneng who sent me a text and said, you know, we honor all these ministers and politicians, but here's somebody we need to honor. As an artist, Julie is a truth teller, and she represents how artists are a part of the conscience of society. She created an energetic shift in February when she changed one word in O Canada. We have always been singing it that way, I'm sure. Our home on native land. She shifted consciousness in that moment on a huge international stage, simply for singing the truth. And so today there's a legitimate discussion about changing that word in our national anthem permanently. So miigwech, Julie, yeah, let's give her a hand. Miigwech, Julie. Miigwech, Julie, for your courage and your intuition. And I've had the pleasure of getting to know Julie over the last couple of days. And she's a great woman leader in her own right. She's grounded, connected to her heart, and we're so grateful that she's joined us today. You know, some of the most sacred connections we have as First Nations is with our Afro-Indigenous relatives, our Black allies. And we must recognize and honor them. Historically, in the time of the Underground Railroad, our relationship with them meant survival and safety. Now today, we gather to honor our long-standing and important connection. But before I turn to Julie, I do want to acknowledge that the AFN Secretariat and the National Chief's Office staff have really done a lot of work to get this meeting going, and I just would like you to give them a round of applause. So miigwech, everyone, miigwech, regional chiefs and leadership. I'll continue to stand with you. I'll continue to advocate with you to support your plans for progress, just as you have done for me. And as I've said before, all the forces in the world are not so powerful as an idea whose time has come. And here on Native land, that idea and that vision is happy, healthy children surrounded by the love and care of their families, living in safe and vibrant communities. Let's work together to bring that positive vision to life, to the UNDA and beyond. Ninanaskamon Gasakitin, which of course means I am grateful, I'm thankful, I thank you, and I love you. Now join me in welcoming Julie Black to the SCA stage. So I just need the protocol folks to come up to lead us through the protocol. We'll be gifting Julie with an eagle feather, and we'll also be blanketing her. So if we can get the protocol people to come up and help us. Thank you.